straight talk from our perspective. This is ManCave Live with your host, Lexington Steele, and co-host, Andre Lavelle, and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is indeed a fine evening in the month of April. It is April 9th, 2015, on another sunny Southern Californian day here on the Man Cave on LATalkRadio.com. I'm in studio with my main man co-host, John E. Depp, who appears courtesy of Formula R3. What's going on, big man?
What's happening, man? What's going on? What you got on the table tonight?
I tell you one thing. What I've got on the table tonight is I definitely do not want to make any wrong turns. I'm stopping at every stop sign, JD. I'm stopping feet ahead of the crosswalk line in front of a red stoplight.
So you're walking on eggshells.
Not for nothing, but I checked both of my rear lights today, even as we speak. As a matter of fact, during we might take a break, I might run downstairs to make sure my lights are still working, such that when I leave out of the studio at 8 o'clock p.m., I may not get pulled over only to find out that it's not that my stoplights aren't working. It just could be because I woke up one morning, some morning 45 years ago, and I had a coat on my body that was brown. And little did I know that 45 years later, I might be driving down the street and I might be pulled over for next to nothing, and I may not escape with my life.
Hey, happens all the time, brother.
It seems to have happened in South Carolina.
And it was captured.
And it was captured on film. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, we discuss a number of topics on the Man Cave. We look to touch upon subjects that may not be touched upon, and we also offer views and opinions that may not be shared by a majority of American culture. But in terms of American culture, with you and I represent faithfully, we will touch on certain subjects and discuss certain things where there are very, very few platforms for intelligent speak. If you want to participate, please give us a call at 818-570-5085. That's 818-570-5085 on the Man Cave with Johnny Depp and Lexington. We anxiously await the arrival of our co-host, Andre Lavelle. In the event he does not make it, he will return, of course, live next week. But in the interim, we have a man named Officer Michael Thomas Slager of South Carolina Police Department, North Charleston Police Department, 33 years old. As we know, it has never had any, save for one, an exoneration in September 2013, in which the APB went out. The APB went out to go to a house and search for an individual who stood, as they say, the individual that the APB sent out said to look for a man that stood, let me get this correct. Okay, Slager was searching for a suspect who was described as being 5'5". He confronted a man that stood 6 feet 3 inches tall.
Got the wrong guy.
Wrong guy. It was his brother. Pulled him out of the house, beat him, and tased him.
And according to the interview I saw earlier today, the guy said the guy who was tased said the guy that when he came up, he didn't even tell a guy he was an officer. He just was like, yo, get out of the house. And he didn't even address himself as, hey, look, I'm an officer of the law or whatever. But fact remains that he had the wrong guy, pulled him out of the house, and he tased him.
Yes, and that individual, who is Mario Givens, has been in the formulation of a lawsuit against Slager and the PD of North Charleston. Ironically enough, this situation has taken place, this new situation involving Slager took place on Saturday. I will make a point that Slager had been exonerated in that September 2013 incident, but a lawsuit is gaining momentum. So while he may have been exonerated by the North Charleston Police Department, that may not follow suit, as they will prepare to go to trial undoubtedly in that circumstance. But this,
yeah, I mean, if you've been paying attention, I mean, this is nothing new. Like, it seems like this song is on repeat.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, we had Michael Brown. Then we had Trayvon Martin. And not to mention, we had a host of other people, like the guy Fruitvale Station in Oakland, which a movie was made about.
Right.
You know, so this is nothing new.
Well, you know,
it's
one of the things that and the guy's name that we lost was Walter Scott.
Walter Scott,
age 50.
right?
I believe father of 2 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Ex-military. Was he in the Coast Guard?
Coast Guard.
Military,
Guard.
still
Right.
government.
So let's go over what happened.
Supposedly, what did they say? He was driving and he got pulled over for, like you said, a taillight being out. And I don't know what escalated after that. I don't know, you know, because according to the officer, he reported that, hey, he was in fear of his life and that the guy tussled with him for his taser to try to get the taser away from him. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's false. But what I see via camera is a man running away from you.
Right.
So number one, how are you in danger? And
Now,
then
are you familiar with the latest? They have a dash cam that was released this afternoon.
Okay, yeah.
And in the dash cam, you actually see, not only do you hear the officer, the APB coming out to the officers through his car, you do see Officer Slager exit his vehicle, approach the vehicle of Walter Scott. You hear the conversation transpire between the two individuals. Officer Slager begins walking back to his vehicle. Scott steps out of his vehicle, then is instructed by Slayer to get back into his car. Walter Scott gets back into his car. After a moment of pause, the door swings open again, and Scott makes a break for it. And then Slager hops out of his car. You hear him exiting his vehicle and then calling in that he is now in pursuit of the individual that he had stopped. They leave the frame, and that was the footage from the Officer Slager's own dash cam. Point necessary to bring up is that Slager was not wearing a body camera. And as I understand it, body cameras have been ordered for 100% of the police force as of late. But I understand that he may have had a camera that either was not wearing or may not have been turned on. And then that's when you have the witness who had witnessed the actual stop of Scott by Slager. And then once things escalate, he watched things escalate, and that was when he turned his camera on after he saw Scott begin running, like, oh, shit, something is about to happen. And then between that alleyway, between the buildings is where we literally see and Slager open up.
Yeah, well, like I stated earlier, like I said, I don't know what happened before that. So now you're telling me that they have footage
from the dash cam of the officer's vehicle.
Of the officer's vehicle. Okay.
Now, up until the time that Scott exits the vehicle, it does look like a rather routine, run-of-the-mill. Slager is not exacerbating a circumstance at all.
Okay. So according to the tape, the dash cam, the officer was in no sense of danger. There was no threat.
No, there was no threat, and there was no language being spoken between either of the men that would lead you to believe that this was something that would escalate.
Now, he put in his police report he felt threatened.
Well, after Scott makes an exit from his car and begins running, as he is speaking into his speaker back to the station, quote unquote, from Officer Slager, shots fired and subject is down. Slager said moments after the shooting, according to reports, quote unquote, he took my taser. Now let's understand this. On the dash cam, from his own vehicle.
Yeah, I'm listening
to
you.
There was they were when Scott exited his car to make his break for it, if you will, Slager made chase. Slager, it seemingly was never within distance to you. Once it picked up on video, there was not a distance where he could have been using his taser. He drew and fired. So what we saw happen was when Slager stopped and removes his service pistol to begin aiming and firing. He drops something on the ground to the outside of his right foot. Then he opens shots, shooting 8 times, people, 8 times at a distance of no less than what seems to be no less than 50 feet. But he shoots 8 times, hitting him 4 times, 1 time in the ear, and the other 3 times in the back. All certainly enough, the one of those obviously proving fatal.
Okay, I'll let you finish this.
And then he runs over to the suspect that he has just shot in the back like a runaway slave. And then he drops another thing that is black and about the size of a print cartridge onto the ground next to the fallen suspect, who is now bleeding for his life, bleeding out for his life, and is in no way do we see Slager offer any modicum of humanity in checking to see if the guy, if there was something he could do to spare his life, which was bleeding out of him.
He handcuffed him.
Literally handcuffing a suspect whom he shot 4 times in the back. Now, at the approach of the second officer, who indeed was a black police officer, at the approach of that officer, we do see him standing around as well. But as we see from the witness, as has been reported by the witness who took this film, who shot this incident, he did not see the second officer administer any CPR either.
Well,
so
look, let's put this thing in reverse. Let's just look at this thing. I mean, okay, so first of all, you get the footage from the dash cam.
Right.
So Officer Slager is his name?
Correct.
You see no signs of him being threatened or his life being in danger?
No, because the guy took off running, had a head start.
Okay, cool.
Slager couldn't catch him.
Okay.
And the guy was a 50-year-old brother. You know, brothers can still run even at 50.
And then not only that, he's in the Coast Guard, so he has to be in some type of shape.
Now, was he still? I heard he was honored, had been honorably discharged.
Okay.
So he was had been discharged.
Oh, so he's already out of the military.
He was already out of the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, they brought that up.
Right.
So I guess that makes him, But anyway, besides
you know what that's about?
Of course.
That's about them trying to say, well, he was former military, which meant that he certainly posed a physical threat.
Come on, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
My thing is like, okay, he get out of the car, he runs.
Make him run for it.
Yeah, he took off, he ran. Okay, so, and now, couldn't catch him. So secondly, he says, he took my taser.
Yeah.
Now.
Which is proven to be a fallacy.
Right.
Right.
So.
Or as we know.
Yeah, as we know. So he was tasing the guy. That's why he was trying to get away from him, because he was tasing him. So when he got away from him, I think that's when the camera cut on, and that's when you saw the officer pull a gun and he started firing the shots.
So the tasing incident probably happened.
Yeah, because he tased him because he was like, "Yo, like stop tasing me." He wiggled his way out
and kept running.
And he ran. He escaped. Right. And you can see it clear on the footage, like because they were tussling.
Okay. But no, at what point I didn't see that? You mean if they were tussling, that was not on film?
Yeah, because it wasn't on film.
No.
It had to be on the dash cam. It had to be.
No, because the dash cam, what you see on the dash cam from Slager's car, after he steps out of the car, Slager says, "Get back in." He gets back in, and then Scott opens his door again and just bolts out.
He bolts out,
and you never see Slager exit his car. You just hear him exit his own car.
Okay,
and
that's
the
only footage you had. That's all they had.
That's what the dash cam.
And that's it. That's it.
Right, because once they leave the frame, there's nothing else to see.
Okay, so now everything is assumption now.
Right, and then that's when the next footage is when you see Slager dropping something on the ground, taking his revolver out, taking aim, and then executing Scott.
So why did he say that he tried to take my taser from
Exactly.
me?
That is what he said moments
because
after the shooting.
I thought that the guy was being tased. And then he got away from him, and that's when he got away from him, he was running. That's when the officer pulled his gun out.
Okay,
and shot him.
The witness that has taken this footage that is at certainly the point of contention, that witness has said that he did hear the use of the non-lethal taser. He did hear that.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So
he was tasing them. He was tasing them.
Okay.
On the ground supposedly. That's where he picks it up from. He's tasing them. And I guess the guy gets away somehow.
Right. Yes. There we are.
That's when you see he's running. That's when the officer pulls his revolver, and this is what's on the tape.
Yeah.
And then you hear the shot, pop, 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 and you see the dude fall. Now at that point, you see the officer run over
To the guy.
To the
drop
guy.
something again.
Drop the tape
next to the dude.
Supposedly it's a
Right.
taser. What else could it be?
Exactly,
Not a
right.
walkie-talkie or
Right.
anything like that. So he drops the taser next to the
Exactly,
guy,
that's what it said.
almost like, yo, I'm planting evidence because you wrestled with me.
Curiously, no doubt.
And not only that, you shot me in the back. I'm bleeding for my life, and you cuff me. You don't assist for the ambulance to
Right.
come up. You know,
There
but,
was no-
Yeah,
now-
I mean, the whole thing is just a bad look.
Yeah, and there's no evidence that there was a call made by Officer Slager immediately for the
Yeah,
any type of
exactly.
medical services
Right.
to be immediately administered
remember when he
or sent to the
He
crime
cuffs
scene.
him. Doesn't he go back? Like you said, he goes
He
back.
cuffs him and then he starts walking away from him
That's
again.
my point.
And then
He
the other
comes
officer
back.
approaches,
Right.
and the other officer doesn't even crouch down to even look at the dude closely. We'll see what happens. And people,
Right, that- yeah.
you know, and we're going to keep going over this. And we're going to look at it as close as we can for what, based on the information that has been released as of yet. But I do want to pose this to those that may be listening and watching and may feel that, you know, we are offering a one-sided opinion like, oh, you guys are just two angry black men. Look, I want to ask just anybody, I don't care what distinction you are from, religion, creed, color, ethnicity, matter not. It matters not. If you see something like this and it is your brother or your son or your father, doesn't matter what color the victim is. This is a situation in which a person who is charged, who has assumed the responsibility of protecting and serving the community, has rendered himself prosecutor, judge, executioner, and administrator of said justice in a moment's notice.
But see, you know, here's the thing, Lex. Lately, they've been getting away with it.
Right. Now, when we say they, let's be.
Hey, man, the powers that be, the police officer, the white police officer,
right.
they've been getting away with it. I mean, look, you can go. Let's rewind the tape.
Right.
As they say on sports, let's go to the tape.
Go all the way back to Wolf back in the day.
No doubt. Let's go to the videotape. I mean, look, Trayvon Martin.
Well, you know
now,
what?
he wasn't.
You
this
want to
guy,
take a call on this before we
Let's take it.
Let's get some interaction. Let's see what they have to say out
Let's
there.
take it.
Good evening. Good evening, call. This is Lex Steele on the ManCave. Talk to us.
Hey, Lex, it's Andre. Sorry I didn't make it down.
Co-host
I'm
Andre
watching the
Lavelle in
What's
the
up,
house.
Dre?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, Andre, is there
I'm-
not to cut you off, but is there any new information that has transpired that you are aware of in regards to the circumstance with Officer Slager and fallen Walter Scott?
What's your take on it?
Not as of yet. Nothing new. But in regards to what you had stated, there is no other side to see. There is no other side. It's right there for you. People are in denial. If it wasn't for the videotape, how many times has this happened?
Hello?
And
Right.
police have gotten off.
Very true.
And like
This is just white America refuses to acknowledge reality. This is our reality.
And this is what, and like I was telling him earlier, Dre, I was like, listen, I said, this has happened several times because here's the thing. Why did this dude do this? Because you know why? He probably thought he could get away with it because the others have gotten away with it. From Trayvon Martin to Mike Brown, they've all gotten away with it. So
And how many black officers? I'd like to know the number of black officers that have done this.
Right. Now, that is something that
I would love to know the numbers on that.
interesting enough, that's a question that we ourselves it bears to mind. But if you look at the major media outlets, they never put that on the table. And why is that? Because that might be a very telling statistic.
But see, here's the thing.
A very telling statistic.
But here's the thing. You got to look at the numbers because
Right.
they looked at the numbers in North Charleston. You have it's 47% African American.
Okay.
Yet and still, the police force is 84% white.
Okay.
So here you have this thing where you have 84% policing the 47%, and there's more African Americans in North Charleston than there is white Americans.
Okay.
And think of this
Yeah.
as well.
So look, I mean,
All
look,
of
those
these
numbers don't even
incidents
add up.
happen- All of these incidents happen in areas where people have no voice. It never happens in affluent, upscale neighborhoods. When the kids lost their mind over the basketball game, There were arrests, but there were no shootings.
Now you're talking about
the
loss of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. When they lost their game, they ceremoniously destroyed parts of their own university campus.
That's always been done. Yeah, I mean Notre Dame, they be burning couches and everything.
Right,
so
now when that happens, it almost seems like there's really just a slap on the wrist. You know, these are just boys will be boys.
Yeah, that's college behavior.
Right now if you compare that to what we see when hockey cities destroy their cities subsequent to either a victory or a loss, we do see a similar brushing over of that criminal behavior. If you compare and contrast what we saw in Ferguson, where people that are doing similar acts of destruction to their own community are labeled as beasts and out of control animals. If you see that the illustrations provided are very telling as to not only whom the speaker of such words are, but the vitriol that is used when looking to describe people of color. And in this situation, it's a case where if you want to call a spade, this guy was fired immediately, unceremoniously fired immediately.
And you know why? Because they don't want that. I mean, not only that they knew he was wrong, but they don't want that heat.
Right, because I think in this case, it's like,
Ferguson.
This one we know that we can't get him out of this one.
He's hung. There's evidence. There's video.
And then also we do bear in mind as well that he has sought to falsify evidence in preparation for his own demise.
That's what he said. Yeah, he said he put in the report. He was like, my life was threatened. Now let's go back and revisit other incidents where this type of behavior has happened. The same rebuttal, when there was no videotape, but the same.
And the cops get off.
Yeah, but
they say the same. It's as if there's a script.
Right, there's a script.
That's what you said before.
The same rebuttal, right?
And that you fear for your life.
There it is. That's the same. It's like it's scripted. Like it's cop 101. Hey, you get in the hot water, say this, and you'll get off. Hey, I felt threatened. So I had to do what I had to do. And hey, this is a dangerous job, and you know but now that we have cold evidence right there in front of you, how are you gonna get out of this one?
Let me ask you guys this. You know, if you were to speak to an officer of African American distinction, and you say to that officer, tell us about this wall of blue silence, whereas the officers will not tell or they will not snitch on one another, basically keeping that solidarity intact.
You know what? I do you one better, Lex. Not to cut you off, but I do you one better. Remember that cop in New York that was pulled over and who was harassed? He was a black cop.
But was he in his uniform?
Yeah, he was out of uniform. He was off work, but he still had his badge with him. Okay. And he got the same treatment.
And did he reveal that he was an officer?
Yeah, he kept saying, "Yeah, I'm an officer." And you remember that, Trey? How they beat him up?
Yeah.
They beat him up.
Yeah, they beat him up. Yeah.
Other officers accosted another officer after he let them know that he was an officer.
By the time he got to reach for his bag, hey, look, they was already on him. Now he's a cop,
right?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Right. It still don't you still wear a brown uniform to work.
Every single day. And we're not talking UPS.
There it is, brother. Yeah. So that uniform you can't take off.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be one of them.
Right. So what I'm saying then is, how come we have not seen any black officers come forward about this? Because if it happens,
they want to keep their job.
Right, but it fries my brain because I'm trying to understand how is it that you're not seeing black officers. They want to make it like, we're just one color, we're blue. Well, there's got to be a distinction within the police force, because black officers, not for nothing, but show me any evidence, people, of black officers gunning down. Now maybe black officers gunning down other black suspects, show me evidence of black officers gunning down white civilians, and of course, one cannot do that. I cram to understand.
Yeah, if you can pull the numbers and set me up, I'll shut up.
Exactly. You show me the numbers comparable.
Put up or shut up.
As what is it? a black is killed by an officer every 28 hours.
Come on,
every
man.
28 hours.
Look, you have a better chance of surviving in Iraq.
Yeah, right.
Now look at the numbers on that. How crazy is that?
We've all seen the movies where the cop speaks against the department,
Right.
And they turn against him. So it's a catch-22 to a certain extent. If you speak up, you might get a call to a shootout and nobody backs you up. I would
like to ask a black, because I would like to put.
We need to bring one in.
I would like to put officers of color to task by simply asking them, how do they explain the fact that their police brethren are wholesale, holistically open season on African American citizens for any particular reason? Now, in regards to Walter Scott. Evidently, he's made his decision to make his run based on the fact that he knew that officer was going to discover that there was a warrant for his arrest based on owed child support, in the amount of $18,104.43. Now, people, is you mean to tell me that there is that the black life is devalued by way of comparison to $18,104? You're gonna shoot that man in the back over $18,104, of which he owes you not one red penny. He does not owe the community a red penny. He owes the mother of that child money. And you, Officer Michael Thomas Slager, South Carolina, made a decision that you are currently in jail for. Now, as I understand it, it's a black judge that is presiding over this situation.
He said that the judge is just like, yo, go ahead, lock him up.
Yeah, now
fight about it.
So, question, here we go. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a lawyer, so certainly correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the legal system. Okay, but if he's currently in jail, if he's found guilty, he will be sent to prison. Now, does an officer like this, does he get sent to general population somewhere within South Carolina? What happens?
Here's my thing.
Where will true justice take place?
Here's my thing, and this is what here's what I would think. Now, once you relinquish that badge, once you turn that badge in, you are now a civilian. Right.
We got another call coming in. Right. Dre, you want to hold on a second, Dre, or you want to call back? I want to take the new caller coming in.
Okay, I can call back.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks.
I'm gonna finish my thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hello call. This is ManCave Live. Talk to us.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nate calling. I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents and jump in on the conversation.
Please do. Yes, sir. Put it on the table.
All right, cool. Well, all right. So, I mean, we all know this is obviously, the issue of what we've seen in the past. Now, I'm looking at a solution, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, you guys would probably agree with me. To find a solution, we need more of our people kind of in positions, not of power, but in positions of being involved in the community in a level where they're, kind of bridging that cultural gap and bridging that societal economic gap. You see what I'm saying?
So you say there needs to be more black cops in the community?
Not even cops. I'd probably say more so more, I guess, being involved with the law and legislation on a local, state level, and a federal level, or even more, black cops or colored cops. Or
wait. Now, you know what? I was with you for a minute, but you used a word that is totally outdated. Did you literally say colored?
Well, no. Well, the thing is, I'm half Indian and half black. So
okay, well then you gotta get. Okay, I'm gonna let you slide on that one, but that's not a.
You went old school on us, man.
Well, my point is, I've always gotten thrown in that type of label. So I know. I was trying to be,
Okay, it's all good. Right.
Clear the blanket thing. But yeah, back to my point. Though, I'm just saying. I think I wanted to get your guys' opinion. What do you think? Do you think?
Well, what I honestly believe that in this situation, from my own personal opinion, I have a certain ire and certain anger that I bring to this. And within that, I might actually color code this. Mm-hmm. This may not necessarily have been a situation of a white officer shooting a black, suspect. Mm-hmm. It could be a case of just people that are police officers. Maybe this could be the police department, communities in general, non-specific as to color. This could just be a case of maybe policing has to be, holistically revamped. Is that the solution? Does this have to be looked at as a black versus white issue. This may or may not be a racist situation or circumstance. It could just be police brutality.
Hey, look, I just give it to you.
And police, not to control, but police brutality may not necessarily come in black, white, or otherwise.
You know what? It doesn't.
It comes in blue.
It doesn't.
Generally black and blue.
Yeah, I know, right? You know what? It doesn't. It doesn't. But hey, let's play with the cards that's on the table.
Right.
Okay, you have red cards and you have black cards. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Whatever's on the table, that's what you have on the table.
Okay.
So I say that to say this: it's always an incident where there's a white cop and a black victim, or
Right.
a person of or brown victim, even a Hispanic.
Right.
And it's been that way throughout history. And we just sat here and said earlier, you never see the reverse. You never
Right.
see black cops gunning down
'Cause
white
I beg
kids
the question,
in the street.
for all those people that want to exonerate Slager for doing this, how would they feel? Would this have gained the same reaction from people? And I'm going to throw it out there.
They're
if it was a
raising
white
money
victim.
for him. You didn't know, not to cut you off. They're raising money for Slager. He got a, what do they call
Like a
those things?
smart funding, crowdfunding.
Yeah, he got a
type of-
crowdfunding.
It does not
yeah,
surprise me.
Yeah, to go towards his, I guess,
To his
bail.
defense,
Yeah,
to his
his
criminal
defense.
defense.
This isn't the first cop that got a crowdfunding too.
Right.
The first cop that did police brutality.
We'll call from the outside looking in. I mean, do you see this as a racial thing, or is this a police brutality thing?
See, to be honest, I think, I mean, I don't want to not sound like I'm not answering your question, but I think we need to have more people kind of involved on a higher level of government, and it's on the state level. I think we need more legislators to be more involved and we need more black state legislators actively speaking and kind of, convincing other people in positions of power, because I got a lot of white friends. I work with a lot of white people, and they'll say things like, oh, this is, if this happened to a white person, it wouldn't make the news. I go, well, yeah, because there's not a history behind this happening to white people, but they just don't understand it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
Because they're never
more of an
faced with it in
understanding
general.
of cultural
Right.
context.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right, right, and like you said, and I understand what you're saying as far as like it starts with the legislating, because it starts at the top. That's where the laws are made. So if
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
if you're able to get in there and change things from within.
Yeah, but the thing about it
Let's
is,
start
if
from
you
within.
look at the higher levels of the hierarchy, if you will, of politics,
Not many of us in it.
Well, to get a law passed, there's a number of people that have to be working in conjunction.
That's true, but you got to have somebody fighting for you, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is, ultimately, if you do not have a person that is within the framework, and it's not gonna matter. They're not gonna make a law that's gonna send a person like their own to jail. There are laws and ways that these things work out that to keep individuals like this officer protected from doing these very actions. What I would wonder is those people that make the protectorates for officers like a Slager, what would happen if it was their son?
Yeah, but see, they're not
And then-
thinking like
and then all
that
of a sudden,
because,
like,
because
oh, shit.
Here's my thing: they're not thinking like that. You know
Right.
why? Because they know that's never going to happen to their son. First of all, most of the time, they're not going to have to experience this.
I'll tell you what,
their
if this
child being
happened-
gunned down
if
by
that was
by
a white
cop.
dude that he was chasing, he would have reloaded his taser and then probably tried to shoot him again with his taser. He wouldn't have pulled out. How do you choose to shoot? Look, I mean, caller, I'm sorry for not really addressing you too much, caller. But how do you shoot a man with a gun that you've already tased? He's running away from you.
Easy. You want me to tell you how?
Yeah, tell me.
Your intent to kill. It's coded in you.
Right.
It's coded in your nature.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, I'm not a marksman. I'm not a shooter. I don't own a gun. I've literally never fired a live firearm. But from that little middle distance that we saw,
I don't like
upwards of
guns.
50 feet, right?
Right.
And caller, you're with us on this as well. The question on the table
All right.
is this: was it necessary to shoot with lethal targeting? If you are an officer who is trained with a pistol, a service revolver, or Glock 9, Mac 10, what have you, do you have to shoot with intent to physically enable or to kill?
Like I
You shot
like,
Scott
like
with intent to kill.
See, here's the thing, Lex. And
That's my position.
Here's my thing right here, and I love using this word. It's one of my favorite words in the dictionary. Choice. Now you had a choice. You say, okay, I could shoot to maim this man and slow him down, or I can shoot to kill him.
Right.
He chose the latter.
Yes.
So somewhere in his subconscious, He said, "I'm gonna kill this man."
Right.
Because if he didn't, he wouldn't have killed him. He wouldn't have shot 8 times in his back.
Yeah.
The guy's running away
Center
from
of
him.
mass.
Here's something to think about now, too. I was thinking, now, if we're going to do, like, an analysis of these cops' personalities, what would be the metric we use to judge, do they have racist intentions, or do they have preconceived racist behaviors, or do they have psychopathic behaviors where they will carry that intent to kill? You see what I'm saying? Like, what do we use to measure that now?
I would say that there is absolutely nothing in regards to Officer Michael Thomas Slager that would indicate that he has any biases or any elements of racism. There's no evidence to that fact. That's why I pose the question, is this a case of just police over-exuberance? Is this a case of another case of police brutality?
And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna say again,
as opposed to there being a racial element.
And I'm gonna say again, Lex, and I'm gonna repeat your words. I'm gonna regurgitate what you said. Had that been a white teenager, would he have shot him like that?
I feel in no way would that officer
honestly, he wouldn't have gunned him. He wouldn't have killed him.
He would not have gunned. Look, let me tell you something.
Because we've seen instances where the dude just got tased.
Yeah. So he just got tased. He's 50 years old. You've already walked him. You've already ran him down. You have a gun that you could hit a person at 100 feet to 300 feet. You could have shot waist down to immobilize, right, and stop the circumstance.
And no need for 8 shots. That was a little ridiculous.
Exactly. 8 shots. That's center of mass.
That's the whole point.
Now the first bullet.
That's like more than 50 Cent right there.
Well, there is almost as much as Tupac. But if you look at the fact that one of the bullets hit Scott's ear, that meant that he was shooting to kill him. That was a headshot.
Yeah.
Okay. The other shots hit center of mass. 4 of the 3 remaining shots hit center of mass, with the first one hitting in his ear, which meant he was going for a headshot of a man running away from him. A 50-year-old man running away, not Usain Bolt. See what I'm saying? Not.
And if you look at the footage, the dude wasn't even running that fast.
He was not running. The guy's 50 years old with a pot belly. I mean, what is he gonna do? This dude,
exactly.
this officer is 33 years old.
But he said he felt threatened.
Yeah. He's 33 years old.
He feared for his life.
Yeah, and that is what they're selling us a bill of goods.
That's what he's going to court with.
But he has been found. He's been jailed.
Right.
Now, as I posed earlier, I'll pose this again. Does this officer go to prison amongst population, or do the taxpayers front the bill to put him in an area which would further protect him from perhaps the ground level justice that he may have to actually
say no because you're a murderer. You murdered a man.
He's a criminal, exactly.
At this point,
so keep him as a criminal.
Treat him like a criminal, dog.
Okay.
He's a criminal. You murdered a man.
Right. Now because
you're no longer down with the blue anymore.
Right.
Your badge has been revoked. You've been fired. You're a civilian.
As a matter of fact, his wife, who was
you go to GP.
His wife is 8 months pregnant, and she will continue to receive payment of her medical insurance by the city of North Charleston until the birth of the child. So she's going to be, certainly enough, it's going to be a fatherless child, because this man ideally will be found guilty of murder and sent to jail for a requisite amount of time.
I hate that the kid is going to be fatherless, but let me tell you something, brother. That happens in the black community every day.
Right.
They strip us of our fathers.
Right.
They take them to jail. Yeah. They plant drugs
and
do
now
all that stuff. And to leave the black woman in the house by herself to try to raise men.
Come on, what's interesting is they make the point in this article that the wife who's 8 months pregnant and the city will continue paying for her bills. They don't make the point that the mother of Walter Scott's kids, whom he owed the 18 grand, now she will never see that money now.
Yeah,
because Slager decided that that the penalty for being $18,000 late is death.
So why you? And another thing is, like, why did you put that statement out there like that? Because you're trying to paint him as a bad guy. Like, he don't take care of his kids. You look at it, he's not worthy of society anyway. Right. And I can just go ahead and shoot him down like a cold dog. Come on, man.
Yeah, this definitely opened up a conversation of real philosophical issues that our society really needs to look at. But I just wanted to call in and give my 2 cents.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate your call, man.
Yeah, my name's Nate. So it was good talking to you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the future. All right.
Definitely feel free to join us anytime. Appreciate it.
Peace, guys.
All right.
Peace.
So yeah, I mean, and caller, thank you once again for wonderful participation in this conversation. It's always wonderful to get different opinions, and it's nice to know that people are actually participating in what we're doing here in ManCave, because a lot of times these issues that we discuss from this perspective is not lent very often, and we're really in many cases left to come about our own conclusions without conjecture and or discussion from a perspective that might be one that is shared by the victim. Now, I can't necessarily personally identify with Officer Slager, but I can certainly identify with Walter Scott,
and that's what
who will never see the light of day. So as I look forward, if God willing, I see the light of day tomorrow morning, I will say thank you, God, for waking me up in the morning, because there's another black man named Walter Scott who will not see another morning, another sunrise, another sunset, because there was an over-exuberant officer who made a decision. Now that decision will rest with, ideally, a jury of his peers. And, of course, I hope those jury of his peers will recognize that Walter Scott could have been their brother, their father, their sister, their brother.
I mean, it's like the Trayvon Martin incident. I mean, the jurors didn't see anything. They didn't look at that like that could have been my child, you know, because they had. I mean, if you look at what the jury was made up of, you look at it, he's like, okay, he gonna get off.
Well, this will end up going to a jury.
I'm talking about the Trayvon Martin thing,
right,
because you had. You know, they posed questions to some of the jurors, and some of the jurors they said, I can't relate to that because I don't see that happening to my kid.
Precisely.
You understand? Yeah. So they don't. If you never experienced it, you don't know what it feels like. You know. Now people may say, "Yo, y'all are one-sided," because we have no other choice to be one-sided, because it could happen to me or you. Like you said, we could walk out of here and get pulled. Exactly. Yeah. So whatever side do we have? Yeah. You know, and you can't. I mean, white people. I'm just gonna say it. They can't see what we see because they're not experiencing that. Yeah. You know, NWA mentioned it a long time ago, and the people that say, "Oh, it's a bunch of angry ghetto black kids." Right. No, they would say, "Hey, look, this is going on."
I think what was really telling, JD, if people saw last week when Chris Rock was riding in a Lamborghini with Jerry Seinfeld, and Chris Rock was legitimately fearful of the circumstance, and Seinfeld was chuckling at the circumstance, and you literally saw the difference in the reality of two mega superstars.
Yes, sir.
But ultimately, it matters not. If a Chris Rock, a mega international superstar, and he's been pulled over multiple times in the last 6 months, and most recently he took a picture of him,
selfie.
You know, it's incredible.
Because remember, Dave Chappelle had done a stand up in D.C. And he made a joke. He was like, "Hey man," he said, "if you're going out and let's say you partying or whatever," he said, "Yo, always have a white dude with you." He said, "Because you can get out of stuff." And he said, and he pulled him over, and he said the dude was smoking a joint, and he was like, "Hey Chip, put it out." He's like, "All right, dude, don't worry about it." And the cops pulled up. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" He said, "Oh, you smoking a joint?" He said, "Hey, put that thing out and be careful. Yeah. Now get out of here." Well, you know, it was a joke, but the undertones was like, "Yo, certain things we can do that certain they can do we can't do." That's just what it is.
That's what I would like to pose to officers of ethnicity in the police departments. If they are listening, please give us a call. At any point, we'll certainly enough address this in some way, as this will continue to unravel and or develop, depending on how you look at it. By next week, I'm sure we will revisit this circumstance. And people out there, I'm unapologetic about my emotions in regards to this, from the standpoint that myself and Johnny live a life where we are in definitive fear and concern when we are approached by officers of the law. And there's something wrong with that, because we are not making this up. This is as tangible as it gets. If there are officers out there that can explain why we should not be fearful of this, I would certainly enough open the floor for that discussion, because it will be an education for myself.
Because
at least.
I would love to know the reasoning from the other side. Like, okay, what do you see? Yeah. Like, what are you going through? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because I can imagine being a police officer is a very strenuous job.
And I understand that they feel they've got to come home at night too.
Right.
They've got. We understand that you've got to make it home
that's
too.
What I'm saying. Yeah. So I see it from your perspective, but what I'm saying is like, yo, when the man is defenseless,
if the man has no weapon and you know the guy has no weapon,
come on.
See what I'm saying?
Come on. So right there, that goes back to like, yo, I have no pity for your life. I have no remorse for your life. I don't care.
For Officer Slager.
Yeah. I'm gonna shoot you down in cold blood or whatever. I don't know what he's thinking,
Scott, right.
but yeah. But that, I mean, according, if you look at the footage,
right,
that's what the footage says to me. I don't care about you.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, it wasn't like the dude was like a track star.
Right.
He was I'm like, man, that dude running kind of slow.
Right.
I mean, is it maybe was it the way it was filmed, or is he actually running that slow?
I mean, the guy, he was just a regular civilian.
Just a regular.
Now
I don't know, man. So we'll see. But I don't think he's gonna get out of this one. If he does, wow.
Well, we'll see what happens,
Wow.
and if he does. As it does, when it does go to court in the in Charleston, we do hope that the people there will handle themselves in such a way that is exemplary of a community that is looking for change and progression. We need not any reprisals that would include destruction of the city and/or any violence against police officers. We do not need to encourage or agitate a very, very precarious situation, and we do hope that we see peace remain in that area of city. In Charleston, South Carolina.
Lex, I wish peace upon that situation.
Right.
But here's the thing, and the reality of it is like if you continue to, put out that type of behavior towards a group of people, it's like a pot of water.
Right.
You keep it on the stove long enough, it's gonna boil over.
True that.
It's going to boil over,
True.
and then it has nowhere to go but up and out.
Well, let's not hope. I hope that in no way happens.
I'm not trying to insinuate
because not
that,
for nothing,
but I'm saying
what people forget. Look, don't start anything, people, because we as a general population are underarmed. We're not armed to contest the police department. It's not a battle that we want to engage. There is the end game is death on behalf of the community, not death on behalf of the police officers who will come very well armed and very well protected.
Oh, yeah, dude,
and now they're using military-grade weaponry on the general public.
That's the biggest gang in America.
Certainly enough. Now, as we prepare to exit for this week on the ManCave, people, we want to make sure that we send out our condolences and our well wishes to those that are in the midst of tremendous tornadoes moving through Middle America.
It's springtime, brother.
It's springtime in Tornado Alley, and so places of Iowa and Ohio, I believe, perhaps Idaho as well.
That Midwest Valley,
the breadbasket,
yeah, right around in there, Nebraska, Oklahoma. It's flat out there.
It's flat, right?
You ain't got nothing to block it, so it's gonna run wild.
A tremendous storm happening. We hope you keep your head down, and hope your property damages will be certainly serviceable.
Right.
God bless those people. We hope that they make it through this particular weather system as it moves through, as destructive as it can be. We hope that will be at a minimum, and we will rely on the big guy upstairs to make that determination.
Well, there's no perfect place on earth, man. I mean, even out here in California, I mean, the weather is always nice, but hey, man, you never know when that earthquake gonna drop on you, and the earthquake don't warn you. He just wake you up.
No doubt. You know what? There's nowhere to hide.
That's it.
There's nowhere to hide. Not even on the ManCave.
Wow.
Straight talk from our perspective. This is ManCave Live with your host Lexington Steele and co-host Andre Lavelle and Johnny Depp on LA Talk Radio. Let's get it in.